Hey, gang, there are so many important issues to discuss in today's political, cultural, and economic climate, and I can't discuss them all here. In fact, YouTube and big tech won't let me talk about it all here. And that's why I have exclusive, uncensored live streams on Monday nights to cover everything. On Monday nights, I share all my thoughts and answer your questions in an in-depth, casual format that prepares you for this upcoming election with the truth. Today, I want to show you a quick clip from a recent stream that I hope will help you think clearly about these important issues, as well as encourage you to join our movement. Join an upcoming exclusive live stream, and I'll answer your questions by clicking the link in the description below and joining our community of courageous patriots building a parallel economy. I look forward to seeing you over there.
Of course, Steve, this is the Insider's Club. I want to talk about Mike Johnson. My brother is in D.C. this weekend, and he was sitting on the House floor, and Mike Johnson came up and spoke with him a bit. And my brother was just blown away because the whole
This is Liam
Bennett, actually.
Bennett. Okay,
we're all in DC a lot. We love
that's great. Yeah, that's great. Your mom and dad did something right.
Yes. But he just was blown away by how faithful Mike Johnson was, and the whole conversation was about how he wants to glorify God in this role. And I was just amazed to see that text, and I figured that from what I'd seen about Mike, but you never know. So anyways, what are your thoughts on him overall?
Yeah, they're calling him MAGA Mike already. Mike Johnson of Louisiana. So the news broke that we got a new speaker right again. I think it was right after we landed or something like that. So I ran up. I again did not even have my room. For some reason, this is the second trip in a row that my room hasn't been ready. So I ran up. I used somebody else's and in our crew, and I did the vid. Wrote, kind of put together a script in my head, and then just went out and did a walk around West Palm Beach, and just celebrated with our audience, our whole audience, hundreds of thousands, on this amazing victory. And I kicked myself because I didn't give a shout out to Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz he is a genius. What he was able to do here, it looked it looked scary for a moment. Tom Emmer would have been an absolute disaster from Minnesota, absolute disaster. He would have made McCarthy look like Pat Buchanan. I think I said on the video, it would have been a real political disaster, because all throughout the 2024 campaign, anytime Trump opened his mouth, the media wouldn't just be going to Biden's spokesperson. What do you have to say to that? They would be running to Tom Emmer. What do you have to say about what Trump just said? And like Paul Ryan in 2016, he would have constantly been distancing himself from Trump. No, that is not the Republican Party. He does not represent the true soul of the Republican Party. So he would have been running against both Biden and Tom Emmer and establishment Republicans, again, just like he did in 2016 with Paul Eddie Munster Ryan. So Mike Johnson is an awesome pick. He's totally pro-Trump. He voted to oppose certification of the 2020 electors, which the legacy media always constantly reminds him of. I mean, the very same people that peddled the notion that Vladimir Putin stole the 2016 election for 3.5 years. They peddled that for 3.5 years. They said 2016 was an illegitimate election because Putin stole that election from Hillary Clinton. There's no other possible way Trump could have won. Those very same people are casting stones when it comes to election denial, as it were. He opposed continued funding of Ukraine. He approved the first package of funding, but has opposed every single one since. He's all for. He was voted several times to affirm Trump's Muslim travel ban, the so-called Muslim travel ban from 7 Middle Eastern nations that are on the terrorist watch list. He's completely pro-life, very Christian. Now, some are upset. And again, this is politics. I keep trying to tell people not everybody's Trump, okay? Some are upset that the first thing he did was renege on Ukraine funding and run to Sean Hannity, the neocon par excellence. You have to keep a couple of things in mind. And again, no one is more anti-Ukraine funding than I am. I think it's just ridiculously counterproductive. I just think it gets more people killed. It gets the wrong people killed, and it gets the wrong people rich, right? It gets poor innocent people on the front lines, Ukrainians killed, and it gets these scumbag oligarchs and corrupt politicians rich. But having said that, I do understand realpolitik. And right now, many are talking about Ukraine getting a special funding, probably the last one, in order to keep Russia occupied and distracted from what's going on in the Middle East, because Russia is already very, very much involved with trying to negotiate a peace between Hamas and, or at least Palestinians and Israel. And so they just want Russia. They want Russia out. But everyone's admitting we're basically tapped out in terms of the aid that we can give Ukraine. I just interviewed Colonel Doug McGregor this afternoon, and he said we're basically out of extra munitions. It's not just tough for Ukraine. It's tough for Israel. We just don't have a lot to give Israel. Our military isn't the military of 1991. After the Reagan era, it's just not. And Zelensky is already complaining that NATO countries have all but abandoned him at this point. So anyway, we'll see how MAGA he is as speaker. But so far so good. I think he's doing well. I think the ones who are nitpicking right now are just they have a propensity towards the negative. They have the propensity towards despair. I get it. We've been living in a 200-year experiment of liberalism and secularism. I get it. But we're coming out of that now. Doug McGregor is 100% in agreement with that. We're going into a much more nationalist, populist, traditional, civilizationalist world order. So we don't have, again, the question is how much damage is done until we finally get rid of the swamp and the uniparty and the corrupt leadership that thinks we're still living back in 1991 and they're the only ones in charge of the world. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt until I see some significant betrayal, and I have not seen that as of yet. So things look good.
But first, gang, I gotta tell you, I was utterly shocked when I was recently shown just how easy it is to access the deed to my house, and not just access it, but change it. If you don't know, the deed to your home is the only document that proves you own it. But the problem is that the deeds to all our homes are now online, and criminals are free to find our deeds, forge our signatures, refile as the new owner of our homes, take out tons of loans using our home's equity, and then stick us with the debt. And by the way, if you think homeowners insurance is going to bail you out, you got another thing coming. But that's where our good friends over at Home Title Lock come in. Gang, they're absolutely amazing. Home Title Lock gives you the peace of mind that the deed to your home is absolutely and completely protected. Click on that link below right now and use promo code Turley Talks. And all you have to do is enter your address for your no obligation home title scan to see if you've already been a victim of deed theft. That's $100 value, absolutely and totally free if you use my promo code Turley Talks. Gang, don't wait for the worst to happen only to regret that you didn't do something about it when you could have. Click on that link below right now and secure your home today.
Well, we got one mic in and one mic out.
Nice. Yeah. End of, I would say end of an era, because, what a colossal political fall. So obviously Mike Pence, he went from the number 2 Republican, undisputed number 2 Republican. All the polls showed this. This is when Trump was president. Pence was loyal, always by his side. He was hands down the number 2 pick. People were already talking about after Trump's second term of Pence getting the nod easily. All the polls showed next to Trump, he was the overwhelming pick. And literally in a matter of months, he went from the top notch of the Republican Party all the way down to the very bottom. And I mean bottom. I mean, he never broke double digits at any point in this primary. It was embarrassing. I mean, he was literally Chris Christie, who's just a buffoon, a clown at this, a behemoth at this point. I mean, he's he's a parody of a joke. And I think Pence's fall actually goes way beyond just the overwhelming sense of betrayal that MAGA Republicans have felt as a result of his antics on J6 and his pious claim that he was defending the Constitution. I think we've talked about this, obviously back then, a number of occasions, that there are plenty of legal scholars that believe that as the presider over the proceedings, he's not merely ceremonial. That's why they had to pass that stupid law that says, no, it's just ceremonial. And they can get rid of that easily. But the reason why they had to pass that is because there was ample historic precedent, according to these scholars, that, and if I recall, it was it the election with Adams or Jefferson, second or third president, that the vice president, as the presider over the proceedings of Congress, to accept the electors sent to them by the states, he does have the right to send back electors or recognize an alternative group of electors if the issue of the election is in dispute in that individual state. He could have done that. He could have sent the electors back in Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, and basically said, work this out. Get your Supreme Court involved, Wisconsin, so they don't wait 2 years to rule that 200,000 mail-in ballots were illegal, because drop-box voting is illegal according to Wisconsin Constitution. We knew that. That's exactly what was being argued all throughout this ordeal back in 2020, post November 3rd. And, that was exactly what they needed to work out within that time frame. We're not given a big window, obviously, between November, the election, and the January 6th certification of the Electoral College. So it's not just that we felt so betrayed by him. I think even more fundamentally, Christian conservatism, the Christian right, have gone through a change. George W. Bush presented this scenario that to be a Christian conservative meant that you had to be a globalist. You had to believe in this ideology of liberty for all nations. You're basically bringing a gospel of Galatians, as it were, where Paul talks about for liberty have we been set free. You're taking your Christianity to all nations, and you're liberating Iraq and Afghanistan and Iran and Yemen and you're liberating all of these oppressed peoples and bringing them into the glories and the Christian tradition of democracy, liberal democracy. And of course, not only was that a charade, actually it was globalism, and it was the WEF was every bit as behind this push for war in the Middle East as were conservative Christians. And it was replacing cultures, customs, and traditions with standardized and highly centralized political and economic protocols that would put transnational corporations in charge and transnational political institutions in charge, just like the crap people are dealing with the EU, for example. That for Bush, he sold us on the idea that was the Christian thing to do. That's changed. Now Christians recognize Christian conservatism sees itself far more nationalist and patriotic. Christian conservatism is now, wait a minute, my first and foremost responsibility is to my family, and then it's to my immediate neighbors, to my left and my right, and then to my community, and then to my traditions, to my ancestors who were buried down the road, to the nation that they fought and defended for. My first loyalty to other is my neighborly other. It's the patriotism. It literally goes back to the term fatherland, patrios. The idea of a nation as a family is a very, very ancient one. And so my Christian conservatism is expressed not in globalism, it's expressed more faithfully in a nationalism. And that's why I think Pence, who is a thoroughgoing globalist, as it turns out, establishment globalist, that's why Pence found there's no support for his kind of Christian conservatism, which isn't Christian, it's globalism, and it's not conservative, it's progressive, it's liberal. So there you go. I think just the days of the Pence occupying a position of power in the Republican Party successfully are just over. I hope you enjoyed that clip of my Monday night Insiders Club live stream. Join us live next week by clicking on the link in the description below and joining the coalition of patriots worldwide, building a parallel economy to return to our roots of faith, family, and freedom. Click below right now.